recently Humbug here has become a bit underweight after a recent illness, and I've had to help him gain a bit of that back, and I thought it would be useful to make a video talking about tips to recognise your rat is underweight and how to help them gain that back. So first you need to determine whether your rat is actually underweight or not. So basing this entirely on their weight, their mass, is not really useful because rats come in all shapes and sizes, and they also come in a variety of different weights. This is mostly based on their genetics, and you can have a very small rat that doesn't weigh very much and a very hefty rat, and that doesn't mean either one of them is underweight for their weight bracket. It just means they are quite different genetically, and it doesn't necessarily mean if you have a smaller rat that weighs say 200-300 grams that rat is necessarily underweight. But I do recommend weighing your rats on a regular basis just to get some sort of idea of what their normal weight is as an adult for themselves, and then if you notice a decrease in their weight, you can then act on this and determine whether they are underweight or not. So a rat being underweight is more so based on their body condition, how they feel, how they look when you handle them and observe them. One thing to look for is when you're looking at them straight on, say for example if they're eating a treat or something, does their back make a triangular shape from the front? That's one thing to look for. Other things to look for when you're handling them is, do you feel their spine quite clearly, or can you feel their hip bones? These things can be an indicator your rat is underweight. Also when you look at their tail can be quite an obvious indicator of a possible underweight rat. Do they have a square tail? I'll put a picture on screen of what this looks like. Or do they have a nice chunky fat tail? These can also be indicators your rat might possibly be a little bit underweight. The second thing to determine is, why is your rat underweight in the first place? Hello, do you want my lipstick? So it's really important to figure out if there's a reason behind your rat's weight loss, just because you can put so much time and effort into helping them, trying to get them to gain that weight back, but if there's a reason causing this and you're not treating this or looking into this, then all of your efforts might be for nothing. So firstly, make sure there's no underlying health issues that may be causing your rat's weight loss. Older rats that are about 18 months to 2 months old, can be more susceptible to health issues that can commonly cause weight loss, things like pituitary tumours. This is a condition where the rats lose their ability to hold and grip their food as well. Obviously this means they're eating slower, consuming less, and then losing the weight. Other conditions, things like kidney failure or kidney issues, these can cause rats to seemingly eat the exact same amount of food and still be losing weight, or sometimes even eating more food, and it seems like the more they're eating, they're still losing and dropping that weight. So things like this are things to look out for, just in case your rat has any underlying health conditions that may be causing their weight loss. I recommend taking them to the vets if you're worried and you can't quite pinpoint what is causing it. Also consider stress. Just like humans, stress can cause rats to eat less. If there's other rats in the cage stressing them out, or something in the environment is stressing them, they may not feel as comfortable to eat, or they may not feel comfortable eating around the other rats, and these can all play a part in a rat losing weight and becoming underweight. So if you're really not sure what is causing your rat's weight loss, I always recommend taking them to the vets just to check for any underlying health issues. They can then offer them treatment, and you can also do this alongside helping them gain their weight back at home. So Humbug here did lose a bit of weight recently, and that was a combination of a few things. The main thing really was a respiratory infection, which he's now been treated for, and luckily he's on the mend, but also because he was stressed out from the other rats, he's gone from being hormonally aggressive, top dog rat, to bottom of the hierarchy, and he's had to adapt to that, and he does get quite stressed eating around the other rats. So I'll talk a bit more in a second about what I've done to help him with that, but that's just one example of a rat that has a few things causing their weight loss. So what can you do to help a rat that seems to be a bit underweight? The first thing you can do is make changes to how you feed them. So one of the first things you can do with your rats, if you notice one in particular is more underweight than the others, is take all of the other rats out for playtime, leave the underweight rat in the cage and add all of the food in, allow them a chance to eat as much as they want, and then add the other rats back in. Alternatively, and this is what I do, is have a separate cage or carrier to put the underweight rat in and give them extra food away from the other rats. This is something that really helps them to gain their weight, especially if they're being bullied around food time. I tend to do this during the day, take out the underweight rat, put them into the spare cage for about an hour to eat as much as they want, and then put them back in with their friends. So this is a setup for his eating cage. It's just a hamster cage, which should really not be sold as a hamster cage or anything, but I prefer using this over using a carrier. You can just put them into a carrier for a short period of time, but because he's in here for an hour, 2 hours, I do like to give him a water bottle, which you can't really do with a carrier too easily. So this is just a really tiny wired cage, and I will put the top on in a second, but all we've got is some bedding, obviously, because he is going to poop and pee in this. Just a handful of his usual mix, and then also some wet food too. So here it is with the top on, and as I said, I do like to give him a water bottle just in case he gets thirsty, and I do leave him in here for about 1 hour to 2 hours just to eat as much as he wants. Don't just throw in extra food for your rats if you notice one of them is a bit underweight. That can then cause the rats that are normal weight to become overweight, and you don't want that either. So as a general rule, rats should have about 15 grams of food each per day, and I do recommend for a rat that's underweight, increase this to about 20-25 grams, or just giving them unlimited food until they're back to a healthy weight. So the next thing you can do to help them is make changes to what you feed them. So carry on feeding them their usual daily food, whether it's a mix, whatever you feed them. Keep offering this even if they're not too keen on this, but also offer them tastier foods to help them gain back the weight. These can be things such as eggs, avocado, not the seed or the skin, just the mushy bit inside of this, pasta, mealworms. These are all really good things to offer them that you might possibly have already in your house. You can feed them alongside their usual food. Honestly, when my rats start to get old and they don't have too long left, I will just offer them whenever I'm eating, obviously as long as it's rat safe, but it's so much easier for them to eat softer, mushier foods than their usual hard nugget or mix. So when they get to that stage and they're not got too long left, pretty much any diet goes out the window and you're just trying to get them to eat something. Other really good things to have on hand or offer them if they are a bit underweight is baby food, either in jars or the squeezy packets from the supermarket. So rats tend to like the meat-based ones, so spaghetti bolognese, or the sweeter ones, things like applesauce or banana flavoured ones. These go down really well, at least with my rats anyway. You can also buy pre-made weight gaining powders for rats. Humbug has just bit a hole in this one, but this one is Wait Up Baby by Rat Warehouse, and this one is Moo Mix by Rat Rations. I'll leave both of these in the description. This one is chocolate and this one is banana, and as you can see, he really likes them and he really wants one at the moment, but I'm going to put these over here. But I always recommend having these on hand. Because unlike baby foods, they're not going to go out of date quickly, and you can literally just add water to them, offer them to your rats and help them to gain weight. Also, it gets them to have a bit of water intake in case they're lacking in that department as well. But as you can see, Humbug goes crazy for this stuff and he really wants them. Don't you, bud? So good luck if you have a rat that is underweight and you're trying to help them gain some weight. It is fairly straightforward as long as they don't have any underlying health issues. I do tend to prefer my rats to be slightly overweight than slightly underweight, just because, especially when they get older, they can drop that weight super quick and that can cause its own issues. So I tend to prefer them slightly on the overweight side, just because they can lose that so quickly, and to us losing a few grams is nothing, but to a rat that is already very small, that can be quite significant. So I hope these tips have helped you, especially if you have an underweight rat at the moment. Good luck, and I hope this video has been helpful. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more animal related videos like this one, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Say bye, Humbug. I'm trying to take a thumbnail, but he just keeps trying to bite the bag. Humbug, no! No! That's so naughty. Humbug, stop. No, he's naughty.